you want to play.
Hannah Cannon's mornings and afternoons are spent guiding her 7-year-old son, Matt, through his school lessons. Monday, it's phonics.
Yes, yes.
But her main worry, aside from the coronavirus, is something that's on the minds of thousands of Vermont families right now.
Child care is probably the top concern that I have.
She's an optician in Montpelier and right now only works 1 day a week. But she knows she needs to go back to full-time work at some point, perhaps even soon. And their private daycare option is still closed.
Right now, my husband, is reduced hours and he gets to come home and be with him on 1 day a week. The other 4 days, I do not have child care, so that makes it a big problem. So.
Is that something the state of Vermont has to address before they send people back to work?
I feel like they do, in a major way. I'm not alone.
Hers isn't the only family we heard from. Several of you wrote into Channel 3 asking us to get answers for you because you're looking at businesses opening and you're wondering if your job will be next. We had one person write into us saying that he's eager to go back to work, but as a single parent of a school-aged child, he's not sure he'll be able to go back and do that if his business opens back up again. So we went to the state to find answers and find out if they'll be able to keep their jobs or if their employer can replace them.
My message would be to those who simply don't have child care and are asking me to go back to work or asked to go back to work, that they don't have to if they can show that child care is an issue for them.
Monday, Governor Phil Scott said that people who couldn't return to the workforce due to child care and school closures would be protected under the Federal Families First Act, which also applies to Vermont workers. But they would need to stay on unemployment. While the governor hinted guidance would be on the way in the next week or so for summer camps, which would help alleviate the crunch for some families, the Agency of Human Services secretary said the earliest child cares could reopen would likely be June 1st.
Good old chocolate milk.
Cannon says she hopes a child care solution could be worked out through the schools because families need answers soon.
Right now versus in a week or two, it's going to drastically change.
In Barrie, Kat Villanzoni, Channel 3 News. A few raindrops are exactly what 5-year-old Madison Stommel ordered.
I can't wait until it rains.
You can't wait until it rains?
Yeah, then we get to make mud pies.
It's her first day back at childcare after months. She and her 2-year-old brother Lucas both attend Georgia's Next Generation. Mom Michelle told us they wanted to come back.
They were very, very excited to see their friends. They hadn't seen them in months.
But they came back to a different environment. New temporary fences outside to create separate play areas for groups of children. Teachers and staff wearing masks. All precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
I, of course, have some concerns, but as long as they're trying to follow them the best that they can and try to maintain a natural environment for the kids, I feel like I was pretty comfortable with that.
We heard similar from Mom Kelly Forbes. Oliver will be 2 in August. She's glad to be able to send him to play and learn with his friends while she works full-time at a school.
Wasn't worried at all. I know that they're going to take the precautions that they need to make sure that their staff and all the kids stay safe.
But those safety precautions cost money. Next Generation serves about 80 families in Franklin County with their 2 locations, one here and one in St. Albans. Both had to hire 2 extra staff members to meet new guidelines that prevented staff from working with multiple groups of kids. Owner Sarah LeBlanc says they're getting about $15,000 to $16,000 in restart grants from the state for each location. But she's spending more than that on salaries.
It does not cover what you need, not to mention supplies for masks, gloves, the thermometers, all of the extra stuff. It adds up quick.
She tells me they also had to reduce hours to help meet staffing pressures. Budget lines are tighter. And some families didn't send their children back.
Unfortunately, we lose that tuition now that June 1st has started. So we are ramping up enrollment a little bit, trying to, how do we fill those spaces?
Monday, the state reiterated they're spending $6 million on grants to help places like Next Generation with the transition. Human Services Secretary Mike Smith saying they're going back to the way it was before the pandemic hit.
Are there bumps along the road? I'm sure there are, but the majority of things that I've heard of are praise.
Next Generation says it's been an adjustment, and they're still trying to make the business side of things work. But staff told us overall, it's been a good first day back.
We will see what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow, the second day, is always an interesting one.
Shock.
It's heartbreaking. Sorry, I said I wasn't going to do this.
Two moms, both University of Vermont employees. Both still coming to terms with the news that their childcare suddenly ended. 56 families were told at the end of last month that the campus children's school was closing. Robin Merritt calls that decision one-dimensional.
They've taken away more than just what they see as an academic unit. They've taken away a community.
Her 3 children have gone to CCS. 3-year-old Ren is now going to enroll a year early in kindergarten. Her older brother Murphy says he's disappointed she won't have all the adventures he did when he went there.
I was hoping that my sister could get more experience.
It was the place where we trusted to have our kids cared for and loved.
Kathleen Parent says it was emotional when her daughter Lillian's teachers stopped by their home to say goodbye. Parent is now taking a leave of absence from work and a pay cut to do childcare until Lillian starts kindergarten in the fall.
You know, to try to explain that to a 5-year-old, to say that you can't go back to your school and to your friends and your teachers, it was a hard conversation to have.
UVM is not the only college in our area to have had to make difficult decisions about childcare on campus. The Early Learning Center here at St. Mike's served 40 to 45 families and closed when COVID hit. Then they had to make the decision not to reopen it after the pandemic due to financial reasons. But we did find out that they are working with families to come up with a potential solution.
I feel really grateful that they are partnering with us and wanting this to work out.
Winooski mom Laura Lee is part of a 17-member group looking to restart child care at St. Michael's College as a nonprofit, and told us the college is going to lease them space at a reasonable rate. They're hoping to be open again by the end of the summer.
The need for high-quality child care is tremendous. It's a huge need, and we're hoping that we can continue to serve some of that need.
Discussions like that with UVM are what Merritt and Parent want to see.
I'm really hoping the school would reconsider. We know that it wouldn't look the same as it did prior.
I think some of the reasons that they're landing on don't necessarily feel sound. And again, when you can't have that dialogue, it's hard to see both perspectives on the situation.
What impact is the pandemic having on Vermont's child care providers? I dug into the numbers to find out, and here's what I learned. There are fewer child care slots overall. The Department for Children and Families says there are about 450 fewer spots right now when compared to 2019, and that includes all kinds of care, from after-school programs to child care centers to home-based providers. There are also fewer programs total. In that same time period, we lost about 40 programs, going from 1,333 to just under 1,300. DCF says they closed for a variety of reasons, and only a few specifically said it was because of COVID-19. But I wanted to know who was closing and found out it was mostly registered home providers. 62 closed this year. From January through November, only 25 opened. And that translates to a loss of about 350 home child care slots. Still, I also found out the demand for child care is also down, and that's putting pressure on providers' bottom lines.
You're doing so good today.
It's a chaotic ritual, bundling up squirmy toddlers for a trip into the wintry Williston air.
You may sit on the benches. Here, McKenna, let's zip up your coat.
It takes a solid 20 minutes to herd this group outside.
All right, if you are ready, can you put your hands on your head?
I'm ready.
But getting outdoors is a must for next generation.
As much of our curriculum and things we can do in our outside classrooms. Bundle everybody up and go.
Owner Sarah LeBlanc says being out in the fresh air is appealing to parents who may be nervous about sending their kids back to childcare during the pandemic. But despite a strong brand, her 2 newest locations here in Williston and in Burlington are only half full. Something that would have been unheard of before the pandemic, when parents in Chittenden County complained of childcare wait lists hundreds of names long.
I'm helping your smaller friend Brayden right now.
Enrollment's been a constant struggle. Again, we never know when the phone's going to ring and someone's like, oh, COVID numbers are rising, we're going to pull. I think people are realizing also, if I have to be home with my other kids doing home learning, what's one more? What's 2 more? We might as well save that money.
Each kid matters, and when spaces stay empty and expenses go up with extra cleaning and staff, the lost revenue adds up fast. She's lucky because with 4 locations, she can spread out the financial burden. Her Franklin County locations are full or nearly full, and having multiple sites allows her to pull staff when needed. Burnouts and sick days are higher now.
Well, today, this morning, we have across all of our campuses, we have 3 staff out. But 2 of them were in the same program, so they were able to support each other, Georgia and St. Albans, to make it happen because the other school had the extra staff. If you don't have that, like where are you going to pull from?
That's a tractor.
That's the question Christina Barber asks herself each day.
If I get sick, then I have to shut down. If my son or my daughter gets sick, I have to close down.
She runs Little Fawn's childcare out of her home in Essex Junction, a one-woman business that allows her to also provide childcare for her kids. She can take in up to 10. Right now, she only has 4.
And I've been advertising since August for 3 spots, and it's just unheard of to not even get a bite.
Those spots are her income. And state grants to offset the impact of the pandemic don't come close to covering the cost of running the business.
And I remember cracking open the books and really looking at how much I'm losing, and it's like $7,000 to $8,000 monthly. It's insane.
That's no small amount of money.
No, it's not. It's not. So it puts you in panic mode a little bit.
Next Generation is on more solid footing and expects when the pandemic is over, parents will send their kids back to childcare. But LeBlanc worries whether all the providers will be there too.
We'll be full in no time, and I know that, and I think we're going to be in the worse dilemma than we were before because so many closed out of it.
The state did shore up the childcare system with grants during the pandemic to try to keep businesses from closing. But both LeBlanc and Barber told me the process for applying for that money wasn't easy and there were strict rules about how to spend it. Both said when they're trying to run a business and deal with the added COVID-19 safety protocols, carving out the hours to apply for a grant was a lot.